This is Jeremiah 1 and 12. Then said the Lord unto me, Thou hast well seen, for I will hasten my word to perform it. All right, before getting on with this video, I want to give all praises to Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai and double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. May Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai's peace be bestowed unto you, hopefully elect. I'm your brother Yahweh Call from the Great Millstone, Orlando. And just back with this here. For those that don't know, because those that are standing upon their watch, pretty much anything a day old is pretty much old news, for the most part. But for those that don't know, going into the push for this Neuralink 2026, all right, Lord willing, they really, well, hopefully, because it's really a thing of Yahweh Bashmal Shine. That's why I started off with this here. In Jeremiah 1 and 12, Yahweh Bashmal Shai, hopefully not taking his foot off the gas pedal, bringing these things to pass, the things that the Lord said that he was going to do. Yahweh Bashmal Shai by desire, he pretty much expedites the process, Lord willing, because as we know, if you've been watching, if you've been paying attention, the biggest thing that we're on the lookout for, dealing with the mandation of this M.O.T.B. And as I always talk about when dealing with this subject, everyone's crying out for a solution, but the solution, which is Yahweh Shai. But Esau, being that these people, they're too dependent upon Esau and the government, the system, or whatnot, Esau, he's going to present that solution in the form of this inserted device. So with that being said, Lord willing, this is the push, man, from the horse's mouth, right? I made this post on X, formerly known as Twitter, dealing with Elon Musk. That's why I got this little 8-minute, 7.5, 8-minute video here. Again, for those that don't know, because again, preaching to the choir at this point, as far as those that do know. But for those that don't know, because we're coming into that, we're in that time now. Jake is waking up, asking questions, right? Brothers' pages are growing, more followers, listeners, and things of that nature. So overall, man, the spirit of Yahweh Bashim Shah is working. But without further rambling, we're gonna go ahead and play this video. Fair use, copyright disclaimer. I'm not making any type of monetary gain. This is just for informational purpose.
When people hear Neuralink mentioned alongside Tesla and SpaceX, it's easy to assume it's just another ambitious Elon Musk project. But that comparison actually undersells what Neuralink is trying to do. Tesla reshaped transportation. SpaceX redefined access to space. Neuralink, by contrast, is targeting something far more intimate: the basic mechanisms that allow humans to communicate, sense the world, and act within it. This isn't about convenience or speed. It's about restoring abilities that many people have lost, then doing it in a way that works not just once, but over years. What makes Neuralink...
So you see, because for one, it is a thing of convenience, speed. That is a part of it. But like they just mentioned, restoring one. That's the miracles performed in the left hand. All right, as we're coming into a time now where, as the Apostle Hall says over the years, he's been saying over the years, that we're in the book of Acts all over again, right? And with that being said, Yahweh Shai, before he left the scene, and when you read in Acts, the first chapter, he spent those 40 days and 40 nights with the disciples, because when you read throughout the Gospels, Yahweh Shai dealing with the disciples, all right, you see how Yahweh Shai was with the disciples, because of their lack of faith. Yahweh Shai was constantly getting on them. Why? Because the time was going to come when Yahweh Shai was going to leave the scene, and the disciples had to be on a level. They had to be leveled up. All right. So, being that we're in that time again, all over again, whoever those spirits are back then, whoever they were, as far as the believers and the non-believers, they're back today. All right, the believers and the non-believers, and Lord willing, we're coming in that stead. All right, Lord willing, that we're coming in that lot. Those disciples back all over again. You know, and hey, it's the same program essentially. Leveling up. I'm gonna grab this real quick. Bear with me. 2 Peter 3. It's like you. Bear with me. Because turn this AC on real quick, man. So bear with me. Give me a minute. Give me a second to connect this to the car. Lord willing. 1 minute is cold. Next minute is burning hot. Esau fucking with the weather. Why? Well, it ties into this video here. Esau, he wants to be like the Most High. Bear with me.
But steady proof. Instead of chasing flat.
All right, so we're good there. But 2 Peter 3 and 18. But grow in grace and in the knowledge of our Lord Yahushua Hamashiach. To him be glory, both now and forever. Amen. All right, so just making the point again. It's a thing of leveling up, because again, we're in the time of Acts all over again. We're coming into a time of miracles and righteousness. All right, Lord willing. Again, we're coming in that lot of the righteous. All right. A lot of things are going to be done in the name of Yahweh Bashmal Shai. All right. Through the spirit of Yahweh Bashmal Shai, there's going to be taking place a lot of miracles, healings, and things of that nature. I see it all the time, especially when we're downtown. Sometimes you got those, because it's cold. You got a lot of not even just Jake, just people in general. It'd be mainly Jake. It'd be mainly Jake. They're all jacked up. Jake be riding those little motor scooters because they can't walk or whatever the case may be, and a lot of them be proud as hell. But they don't even know. You come up talking shit against the here it is, you're handicapped or whatever the case may be, and you come up talking shit against the ones through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shemal Shai that are able to heal you. But every now and then you have those few those individuals, man. They might be walking with a cane or whatever, dealing with some type of physical ailment, and I just can't help but to just think, because the day is going to come where, hey, to individuals like that, where they're sincere, right? Hey, they're going to get a blessing from the prophets, from the men of the Lord. And they're going to certain of these individuals, they're going to be getting healed on spot. So just making that point, those are the type of times that we're coming into. All right, and that's why, again, making the reference dealing with why the disciples, when Yahushua was on the scene, why they had to be leveled up, right? Because again, when you go into the book of Acts, hey, people were getting healed, right? The apostles, that's when the disciples became apostles. They were getting healed and all sorts of things, right? So that's coming back, all right, in a major way. But again, making the point as well, Esau, this is something that he's trying to mimic on the left hand. And this is what we see. And this is why, again, staying on our watch, we're paying attention to these things, all right? Because like they were just making the point, people that have neurological, ailments and things of that nature, right? Like I've been mentioning, a part of that solution, people are looking for a solution because people are jacked up, sick, so this is a part of, as I mentioned yesterday, that deception, man. This is a great deception getting ready to take place. Because, a lot of people, man, are going to end up taking that C-hip. A lot of people. Esau, he is going to get to a point. And we're seeing the gradualism, all right? We're seeing the progression, all right? So, Lord willing, this is that push.
It's about restoring abilities that many people have lost, and doing it in a way that works not just once, but over years. What makes Neuralink stand out isn't bold promises, but steady proof. Instead of chasing flashy demonstrations, the company is focused on building a brain-computer interface that can remain implanted, functional, and useful over long periods of time. That alone is a major shift in a field where many projects succeed briefly in labs and then fail in real-world conditions. Neuralink's progress suggests it's moving beyond experimentation and into early-stage infrastructure. At its core, Neuralink is not about reading thoughts or controlling minds. Its purpose is far more practical.
Of course, they're going to throw that in there. All right, because again, Esau, he wants to be like the Most High. All right, he wants to be God. He plays God. All right, and that's why I always because there is no such thing as free will. All right, we are all what you would call MK Ultra. All right, MK Ultra by the Most High. If you don't know what the MK Ultra is program, if you don't know what that is by now, you should look into it. All right, I mean, it's no coincidence, you got certain of these individuals, man. They talk about, one minute they're cool, and then the next minute they just commit a mass shooting, and then when they're getting interviewed, integrated or whatever the case may be, they're like, I don't know what happened. I heard voices, right? Like the latest, dealing with this guy, this Jake, that stabbed that Ukrainian woman on the bus or the train or whatever it was, right? I mean, it's been coming out supposedly, allegedly that this Jake, he was hearing voices, right? It was coming out that apparently this dude had he had a device in him. He was hearing voices. Again, this is all predictive programming for one, because they show you in the movies, right? What's the one movie? You got the Implanted. That's a good one. If you haven't watched that, brothers often talk about the what's the one movie? Damn it. What's the movie? Upgrade, right? I say, man, that's homework, for brothers. Every brother should watch that movie, Upgrade, if you haven't already. But that was dealing with the dude. You got the movie that was basically almost the same concept, but it was dealing with the chick, And when you watch that movie Implanted, they pretty much pry on the poor. They give you an incentive. If you just come down to one of the stations, take this device, put it inside you, right? And I'm thinking about it, it makes sense. Thinking about it, because like it says in Revelation 13, when you go into it, man, how they're doing away with the middle class, right? You're either falling into one or two categories, the rich or the poor. You see, and thinking about it, it makes sense why they're going to a lot of people are going to end up taking that C hip, because hey, the conditions are desperate. People are desperate, man. And it's all controlled demolition. It's all orchestrated chaos. It's all being orchestrated by the elites on the left hand through the spirit of Yahweh Shemal Shai. But they show you that in that movie Implanted, where these individuals in this position of need, because that's how Esau operates. He puts you in a corner, right? He presents that solution. He preys off the poor. Because he's a wicked ruler. But you watch that movie Implanted, eventually, man, hey, everyone that took that device, man, they started hearing voices. They started getting these commands to commit crimes and things of that nature. Basically to do the bidding of the elites, or else. So of course they had to put that out there. This is not, we're in no way, shape, form, or fashion. It's not going to. This is not a mind control. Well, they got to put that in. They of course they got to add that in there.
Captures neural signals associated with intent and translates them into actions that machines can understand. That distinction matters. Neuralink isn't trying to guess what someone is thinking. It's identifying when the brain intends to act and helping that intent reach the outside world. This makes the technology measurable, testable, and improvable over time. The most advanced part of Neuralink today is its digital control system, often referred to as telepathy. This system allows people who can T-move their bodies to interact with computers using only neural signals. Moving a cursor, selecting items, Typing messages, things most of us take for granted, become possible again. The N1 implant achieves this, using thousands of electrodes spread across ultra-thin threads, allowing it to collect detailed neural data while minimizing damage to brain tissue. The real significance of telepathy isn't the demo itself, but what it enables in everyday life. For people with severe...
So, just using some common sense, just dealing with telepathy alone, like I just mentioned, because when you go into telepathy, basically being able to communicate via the mind, right, and not so many words, right. So again, they got to keep putting it out there. Hey, we're not trying to, this is not meant to read minds. Well, when you again look at it logically, dealing with telepathy, right? People are gonna be walking around with these devices, man, hearing voices, right? Commit crimes or whatever the case may be. Like I mentioned, watch that movie Implanted. But they got to do a lot of damage control, of course.
Says digital access often determines independence. Without it, even basic communication depends on caregivers. Telepathy changes that dynamic by restoring personal control. Users can manage accounts, communicate, work remotely, and interact with the digital world on their own terms. That shift from dependence to autonomy is the foundation of Neuralink's value. What's equally important is how Neuralink validates this technology. Instead of short trials, the system is being tested through long-term daily use. Multiple users have already accumulated thousands of days of combined implant time. In the brain-computer interface space, this kind of sustained performance matters more than any single milestone. Stability over months and years is what determines whether the technology can scale beyond a handful of patients. Once digital control is established, Neuralink's roadmap expands into sensory restoration, beginning with vision. The Blind Sight project does not attempt to recreate natural eyesight right away. Instead, it focuses on restoring functional vision by delivering signals directly to the visual cortex. The goal is not sharp images, but useful perceptual light detection, contrast, basic shapes, and spatial awareness. These abilities alone can significantly improve safety and mobility. The fact that Blind Sight received FDA breakthrough device designation signals that regulators see real potential in this approach. But expectations remain grounded. Early results are about utility, not perfection. Being able to navigate spaces more safely or recognize obstacles can dramatically reduce daily risk and dependence. Neuralink's strategy here is clear. Build function first, then refine quality over time. By 2026, the focus shifts from proving possibility to improving usability. Neuralink is working to reduce calibration requirements.
So, again, man, y'all about my sharper design, because they've already been testing this. All right, now dealing with Neuralink and certain of these other brain C-hip companies, because Neuralink is not the only one, right? Over the past few years, they've already been doing these tests, right, where certain individuals with this Neuralink device inside of them, they're able to play video games. We've seen the videos, again, if you've been staying on your watch, paying attention. But make no mistake about it, as far as this, man, this is something Esau's been going into, I'll say going back into at least the 60s, the 60s, man. You're going to the Delgado experiment. If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong, but I believe it's the Delgado experiment, right? With the bull, real quick, I'm gonna grab this because I'm holding Revelation 13. Since I said that, because years ago, man, they were, and again, it's all a thing of gradualism, right? They kind of began introducing this whole concept of with this, because people's dogs, they run away, right? But hey, with this device, it will be able to trace track, right? And it just leads me to this, because making a point, man. Esau, he's been doing it to the animals too, man. That's why this here in Habakkuk 3 and 8 was the Lord displeased against the rivers? Was thine anger against the rivers? Was thy wrath against the sea, that thou didst ride upon thine horses and thy chariots of salvation? So making a point, man, because when the destruction comes, making a point, everything got to go. All right, that's why when it comes to salvation, man, like the scripture say, look up for your redemption draweth nigh, because the chariots, man, that's our ticket out of here, man, Lord willing. Because when the Lord levels this bitch, specifically America, when the Lord levels this place, like I just read here, it's like, damn, was the Lord bad at the waters, right? You know, the rivers, like, damn, what do the rivers do? But just making the point, everything got to burn, everything got to go, because everything's corrupt, everything's defiled. And I'm just making a point, even the animals, you know, because like I said, it just came to mind going back to this whole Delgado experiment, right, with the bull, man. You know, obviously, if you let the bull out the cage, man, it's gonna be in a rage, right? But when you go into that, if they still have it on YouTube, I'm sure they do. But with that device implanted in the bull, right, with the flip of a switch or push of a button, hey, that bull immediately it calms down. You know, you can look into it. Again, for most, preaching to the choir, but for those that don't know, all right, because hey, man, these are the times that we're in. As far-fetched as it sounds, you know, as I always say, dealing with this topic, man, it's deeper than just buying and selling. It is way deeper and sinister. There's definitely layers to it. When it comes to the M.O.T.B, it's deeper than just buying and selling. You know, Apostle Tahar said that years ago. You know, but it's deeper than just buying and selling, man. You know, Esau, you know, he has real sinister plots, man. He has a real sinister agenda, you know. But that's why, again, man, everything has to go. Because, hey, Esau, he hips the animals too, man. Like, damn. That's why, like I just read here, was the Lord displeased with the rivers? You know, like damn, what do the waters do? What do the trees? Everything has to go. Everything has to get burnt up. But I was also holding Revelation. Lord, I'm not talking too much. I forgot who asked me, but a brother asked me, what is your favorite chapter to get, you know, to read? What's one of your favorite chapters in the book? And Revelation 13 is definitely one of my favorite chapters. You know, I believe the brother specifically asked me my favorite 3 chapters to get into, and 2 out of those 3 the 3 answers that I gave was in Revelation. Revelation is one of my favorite books to get into. But Revelation 13 is definitely one of my favorite chapters. A lot of history, you know. So, you know, Revelation 13 is definitely one of my favorites. But Revelation 13, Revelation 13, verse 12, and he exerciseth all the power of the first beast before him, and causeth the earth. Matter of fact, I'll read it again. And he exercises all the power of the first beast before him, because, like I mentioned earlier, not only does the Lord bring individuals back, he brings kingdoms back, you know. Because, like I mentioned earlier, those disciples that were with Yahushua during the time of the pagan Roman Empire, all right, you know, they're back today, as well as the 2/3 non-believers. But hey, like I said in verse 12 again, and he exercises all the power of the first beast, right? Because again, the Lord, he brings generations back. You know, that's why, like the saying goes, history repeats itself. Why is that? Because the Lord brings the same spirits back. Because America is nothing but a regeneration of the pagan Roman Empire. You see, because like I mentioned in yesterday's video, hey, this whole quote-unquote New World Order is really an Old World Order, all right? You know, from Genesis, the 10th chapter, right? 10 and 11, to Nimrod, to Greece, all right? It's just now we're in the time where Esau, he has the again, through the power of Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh on the left hand, he has the resources, the means to fulfill this old world order. All right. And this is what we're seeing coming to pass. This is what we see being fulfilled. It says, and causeth the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast whose deadly wound was healed. And how was that deadly wound healed? It was, again, through America. Right. And, you know, it goes to show you that it's going into Esau, because no other nation has been given, as far as rulership over the resources of the earth. No other nation had that position. No other nation has been in that position. All right. So this is how we know Job 9:24 is talking about Esau. All right, and more specifically the elites, the 60 families. All right. You know, you just had when Trump went over there, right? Basically just took over Venezuela. You had this one of these Rothschilds on I believe it was another X post, right? You know, Twitter post that, hey man, you know, good job. You know? So hey, again, Job 9:24 and that's a lesson, man. You know, that's a lesson, man. Pursuant to Job 9:24, if Esau is not the man of the wicked, if the so-called white man is not the devil, then who is he? Where and who is he? Because Japheth is chilling. Like I said yesterday, Japheth is chilling. You know, but again, no other nation has been given. You've had times where the nations they ruled, they had their time to rule, right? And you know, for the most part, they ruled over the known world, right? But Esau, he's been given charge over the earth. You see, no other nation has been given charge of the earth. They've ruled over the known world, but Esau, he's in charge of the earth. So this is how we know this is talking about Esau. Verse 13, and he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. And you see, ever since those atom bombs, right? That's what established Esau in America as the world superpower, right? But how did that come by? It came by way of, as the scriptures say in Daniel, knowledge being increased. All right, that's a part of it. Because again, Esau, he has the means, he has the technology to fulfill ultimately the Lord's will. Because, you know, Esau, he, you know, again, it's real sinister, man. What Esau's trying to accomplish is sinister. It's sick. You know, it's evil. You know, it's just wicked. You know, that's why Yahweh Bahashim Shai, the Lord's gonna have to send Yahweh Shai, man, in a certain reasonable time. Because man, just when Esau gets to a point, pursuant to that Job, man, just when he thinks he's about to fulfill his enterprise, hey, the Lord's gonna have to come cut that shit short. It's gonna be very short-lived. But verse 14, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles. And this is a part of Esau's miracles. Again, yeah, they want to keep putting their little, you know, damage control out there. We're not trying to control anyone's minds or whatever the case may be, but hey, it's all of that and then some. All right, it's all of that then some. Again, this is why there's coming a great deception, man, because you best believe just this aspect alone, right? People being healed, right? You best believe, man. You know, people that weren't able to see, right? Blind, right? People that were blind, you best believe, man. Hey, they're gonna be running down and get this device to where they can see again. Oh, you best believe, man. You best believe this is gonna take people like a man. It said, verse 14 again, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast which had the wound by a sword and did live. So, again, Esau, he has the means by the power of Yahweh, by Shemel Shah on the left hand. He has a means to set up the system to where everyone's going to have to bow down, all right, to the image of the beast. All right, everyone's going to have to be included in this system. If not, well, when you read on, it goes on to say you won't be able to buy, sell, you'll be an outcast, And in some cases, a lot of cases, you'll be physically killed, right? But this is what we're seeing, man. You know, this is what we're seeing. All right. And Lord willing, Yahweh Bashimah Shabbatazah. This is the push. So let's play some more.
Performance fluctuations and allow systems to adapt automatically. This transition from experimental setups to practical assistive tools is where most advanced technologies either succeed or fail. Neuralink appears to be aiming directly at this challenge. Another major development area is auditory restoration. Traditional hearing aids amplify sound, but they can't fix deeper neural processing issues. Neuralink's approach bypasses damaged pathways and delivers sound information directly to the auditory cortex. Instead of just making sounds louder, the goal is to make them clearer. Speech comprehension, voice separation, and contextual understanding become the focus. The demand for this type of solution is enormous, especially among aging populations. Hearing loss affects communication, safety, and social engagement. Neuralink's likely step-by-step rollout would start with sound detection and speech, understanding in quiet environments, and eventually progress toward handling noisy settings. This reframes hearing restoration as a neural interface problem, not just an audio engineering one. Communication itself is another frontier. Neuralink aims to decode brain signals related to language intent and convert them into text or synthesized speech. This is not about instant fluent conversation. It's about reducing the effort required to express basic thoughts. Even modest improvements, short replies, quick messages, emergency communication can dramatically improve quality of life for people with severe speech impairments.
So you see, again, there's layers to this shit. I'm sorry to keep cutting, but you just got to break it down to what's being said. And listen, believe you and me, I'm not one of I'm not eloquence. All right, I'm not I'm not so bright, but just the water Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shah for the spirit, because when the spirit is on you, when you see through the spirit, man, it's just like, man, and you'll be able to let's just say, man, just give an example, because this is what we're gonna start seeing in the Lord willing near future, man. You're talking to someone who doesn't speak any English, right? Instead of having to take the time out to use a translator, with this inserted device, all right, this implanted device, within an instant you'll be able to I know kung fu, right? Inside joke, right? Within an instant, you'll be able to understand that speech, instant you'll be able to translate, all right, speaking to someone that doesn't speak any English, but within an instant, instead of taking the time out to translate, and within an instant. It's like when you and again, it's all a part of the convenience, right? Because here it is, you order something off of Amazon, right? It's not what you wanted, it's not what you need, or whatever. You send it back, although you pay for it instantly, but you send it back, and your refund takes what, 3 weeks to get there. For you to get that refund takes 2-3 weeks, let's just say. But with this inserted device, everything will be instant transaction. You see, so just another aspect. Again, there's layers to the shit. Just that alone, man. People are just at a convenience, man. Again, we as the Apostle Bar says, man, having to being visionaries, you got to see this, man, because like we see in 2020, 21, 22, man, people by the masses, they were lining up to it was to at least where I was at the time. All right, at least where I was at the time. I'm sure others seen it, other brothers seen it, man, but hey, man, with this whole thing with the Maxine waters, right, the Capri Sun, this shit was causing traffic. People were lining up. That's the point I'm making. People were lining up to get that seat, slocking. People were lining up to get that jump shot, man. To the point where lines were wrapped around the building. It was a lot of confusion. It was a lot of confusion. here it is. You're trying to get to the Walmart, but here it is. There's a long line, and you're standing behind the line. You're standing in the line, thinking it was for the Walmart, right? But here it is. This line is just for these people over here next to the Walmart trying to get to. So that's another thing, and the scriptures talk about that. There's gonna be a lot of confusion, a lot of confusion. A lot of confusion. But again, man, people were lining up, man. It was to the point the traffic. People were lined up in their cars. Some shit that you see when at a gas station, right? Only certain gas stations, a lot of gas or Slovakia, in the movies, right? Where you see in the movies where because of some event or whatever took place, only because there's gas stations everywhere. It's like McDonald's. Gas stations are everywhere, but because of a certain Black Swan event, right? Only certain gas stations every so amount of miles were open, actually have fuel or whatever. So everyone was flocking to that one gas station. And with that being said, hey, there was lines, right? And I don't know, because you got the warehouses like BJ's or Costco's, right, where the gas is much cheaper than the average gas station, right? And you get a small glimpse of that with something like if you got a Sam's Club membership, right? They had their own little gas stations, right? And I ain't gonna lie, just out of the patience part, because to me, it's I mean, yeah, it's cheaper, but it's only a few cents, man. It's not even a major as far as the difference, because at the time I had certain of those. I had a BJ's membership, right? But the BJ's gas station, man, the shit was packed. The shit was packed. I was like, you know what? I'll just rather go to a regular gas station, But just making that point that the lines, man, the lines were backed up. People blowing their horns. Hurry up, Fights be about to break out. Hey, it's all a small glimpse, man. It's all a prelude, man. It's all a small glimpse. You best believe people are gonna be killing each other over these. Well, they're gonna be murdering, because killing and murdering is two different things. But you best believe, man, people are going to be offing each other. All right, for their fix, for their fix of this M.O.T.B, man. So if you have the eyes to see, and you can see, man, you can see, man, this shit's gonna get crazy. Needless to say, it's gonna get crazy, because again, man, everyone's tired, everyone's seeking a solution. All right, everyone has problems, but everyone's seeking the solution. So this is why, man, when that time comes, man, hey, these people, they're gonna be, you're gonna have it to where people are gonna know, and it goes to show you. It's a thing of predestination. All right, it's a thing of predestination. You have to be predestinated, not to. You have to already be, like I said, MK Ultra already. You have to be programmed already to not take the M.O.T.B, because you're gonna have people that know, and more specifically, and this is what's scary about it, man. You're gonna have people that watch GMS, they watch the apostles and bishops, right? Their whole lives, right? And this is what's scary about the Lord, man. They might be contributing to the ministry or whatever, man. They might be a help, whatever. So with all that being said, they know what the M.O.T.B is. But certain of those same individuals, man, when it comes, because just making that point, people are gonna know. That's the point. You're going to have certain individuals, they're going to know what the M.O.T.B is. And they're still going to take it. They're still going to take it. And that's what's scary about Yahweh, by Shemel Shah. They're still going to take it. These people, they're still going to take it. They're going to know. They're going to know the judgment. They're going to know the scriptures. Hey, if you take the M.O.T.B, you're done. You're done skis. And they're still going to take it. That's some scary shit, man. Like it says here in 2 Ezra 16, let me grab this real quick. And that's the spirit, because I'm already there from yesterday's video. Or was it 2 Ezra 15? No, yeah, 2 Ezra 16. 2 Ezra 16 and 68. For behold, the burning wrath of a great multitude is kindled over you. And then we're not seeing this again, to echo off of yesterday's video, right? Esau, he's going into these nations. He's trying to establish his that dominance as far as, you know, the Western Hemisphere, all right, the Americas, North, Central, South America, right? Because it's even coming out. It's furthermore coming out that and again, this is all allegedly, supposedly. You know, Venezuela was making deals with China to you know, hey, that oil, man, hey, basically do away with the dollar, and hey, basically do away with the dollar. All right, and not so many words. All right, and Trump, man, immediately he was like, man, hey, nah, man, you know, because America's hedge of money, oh, excuse me, hegemony, you know. But America's hedge of money, aka, or hegemony, aka hedge of money, is done. America's through, you know. So Esau, although some may look at this as a show of force or whatever, but America's through, and they're desperate. You know, they're making desperate moves, you know. But as I was talking about yesterday, man, just spiritually speculating, you know, hey, you know. Trump, man, he's got to position himself, man, you know, because again, like it says in Revelation, also talks about in Jeremiah, the winds of destruction, right? But before it gets to that point where, hey, again, the scriptures say the angels holding back the winds of destruction, before it gets nuclear, man, hey, again, this M.O.T.B, that's the main thing. It's the main thing we are on the lookout for. You know, and that's why, hey, this M.O.T.B news, man, it never gets boring or tiring as much as, you know, you had a certain Jake, man, y'all talk about the same thing, you know, same. Well, hey, again, to quote my beloved elder brother Isaiah, it's the same precepts, different articles, same precepts, you know. But it's looking like, you know, Esau, man, he's positioning himself to hey, because it looks like they're about to make their moves, man, Lord willing. And again, this is the whole point of this video. Hey, Lord willing, Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shah, man. This is that push, man. You know, we will hear more about these accounts. You know, people, you know, walking around with these devices inside them, getting priority access. It's like the difference between premium, right, versus the regular, right? You know, obviously, if you get the premium, right, you know, obviously you get that you know, you get better access, more benefits, more goodies, you know. But 2 Ezra 16 and verse 68 again, for behold, the burning wrath of a great multitude is kindled over you. They shall take away certain of you and feed you, being idle, with things offered unto idols. So you see, just making the point, going back to bring it back, you're gonna have, and that's why it's a scary thing. All right, Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai. You had this one Jake, what was that, Saturday? And you know, there's a thing before camp, man, and I took Gabar all the time because, you know, the father of the camp, so to say, you know, the elder brother Gabar, he's always the one that posts, you know, he records when Jake comes up or anyone comes up or whatever. But I had this thing, man, hey, before Camp Chronicles, because oftentimes, you know, brothers, we get started late because, you know, brothers are dealing with, you know, certain Jakes asking questions of this and that, you know, so we often get started late before camp. And one Jake before camp on this Slack Friday, because we do Fridays now. So this past Friday, man, what was he asking? He was asking something. What was he asking? He asked a question to me directly. I was dealing with the Jake. Slack, and read it again, 2 Ezra 16:68. For behold, the burning wrath of a great multitude is kindled over you, and they shall take away certain of you and feed you, being idle, with things offered unto idols. And they that consent unto them shall be had in derision and in a reproach and trodden underfoot. So, just making a point, man, because again, to quote Apostle Tahar, yeah, to quote Apostle Tahar, it's really the Most High it's really the Most High see hip. That's why, again, when he does what he does, and he, gets to a certain point, eventually the Lord is going to intervene. Yahushua is going to come, because, again, Esau, he has a lot of sinister plans. There's layers to the shit. Esau, he has what he wants to do, but even with that, that's just the thoughts that the Lord puts into him. You see, ultimately, it's the Most High's see hip. It's his M.O.T.B. Right? And again, making the point, you're gonna have a lot of people that take the M.O.T.B. They know it's the M.O.T.B. They know the judgments. Like I said before, they've been watching the apostles and GMS, and they know. But that's why it's a thing of predestination, because you're gonna have a lot of Israelites at the last second, even during Jacob's trouble, when this thing is being presented, right? They're gonna say, because they're predestined, they're gonna say, fuck that. And however it plays out on their behalf, hey, hey, man, the Lord is cold, man. The Lord is cold. But again, this great deception it's coming, because we've seen this back in 2020, 21, 22. A lot of people, out of fear of losing their job, right? They took the shit, right? And man, it's scary, because again, you take that shit, man. If we take that shit, because I'm not exempt, taking that shit, man, it's like, damn. It's some scary shit, when you understand the mind of the Lord, it's some scary shit, man. But this is how a lot of people are going to get taken, with that the great floods of deception are upon us all, man. It's coming upon us all. That might be a lesson. The great floods of deception are upon us all, But like it says here in the same chapter, in verse 74, because, hey, man, people's houses are going to be getting kicked in, in the middle of the night, in the wee hours of the night. And that's how Esau operates, being the coward that he is, right? Here it is. You might have had some drink, pop your woman, whatever, butt ass naked, 3 o'clock in the morning. You might wake up in the spiritual realm like, damn, what happened? And here it is. Esau, he's bragging about, taking down Osama bin Laden or whatever, man. It's just Esau. He's a coward, man. He's a coward. But hey, it says in verse, jumping down to verse 74. Hear, O ye my beloved. And the beloved are a code word. It's a code name for the elect. It says, behold, the days of trouble are at hand, but I will deliver you from the same. Be not afraid, neither doubt. The Most High is your guide, and the guide of them who keep my commandments and precepts. Saith the Lord power, let not your sins weigh you down, and let not your iniquities lift up themselves. So although it is a time to get our houses in order, get our mind right, get our houses, do what we need to do, man. Hey, make amends, do whatever it is that we need to do to get right with Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushai. But hey, overall, man, Yahushai, he paid the price. All right, it's not the time to be in that woe is me spirit, like, damn, what am I gonna, it's just, hey, again, man, like I said yesterday, it's just a waiting game. It's a thing of patience, and every day is just a day to take it one day at a time. One day at a time. So that's where we're at. That's where we are at in this thing, man. We are right there. A lot of deception. And so much that, like the scripture say, hey, faith is so precious. Is the Lord going to find it by the time He returns? Roughly paraphrasing, faith is so precious. And this is the time now more than ever to be trimming our fat, right? Just get right, man, with Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai, man. But I'm playing some more of this, see what they got to say.
Neuralink's approach here is intentionally gradual. First, it identifies stable neural patterns unique to each user. Then it maps those patterns to simple outputs. Over time, complexity increases as reliability improves. This method prioritizes consistency and user comfort over speed, which is essential for long-term adoption. Beyond screens and speech, Neuralink's assistive control layer moves into the physical world. Digital independence is powerful, but physical independence is transformative. By translating neural intent into control signals for assistive devices like robotic arms, Neuralink aims to restore basic physical actions, grasping objects, pressing buttons, interacting with the environment. These are small actions, but they represent massive daily challenges for people with paralysis. What makes this phase especially difficult is the need for stable, precise signals. Neuralink's long-term data advantage gives it a path forward, but progress here will be measured carefully. The goal isn't speed or strength, it's reliability. If a system works consistently, even slowly, it can change lives. At this point, Neuralink stops being a speculative future idea and becomes something more concrete. It's a system built layer by layer, constrained by biology, regulation, and ethics. It doesn't promise enhancement or shortcuts to superhuman abilities. It promises restoration, stability, and incremental improvement. The real question going into 2026 is no longer whether Neuralink works. It's how responsibly and widely it can be deployed. Can it remain safe over decades? Can it adapt to different users? Can it deliver real independence without introducing new risks? These are the questions that define success. Neuralink isn't trying to redefine humanity overnight. It's trying to rebuild what's been lost carefully and methodically. And that's what makes it different. Do you want clear, grounded analysis on where this technology realistically goes next? Make sure you're subscribed and stay tuned because this...
Yeah, of course. But hey, you know, that's it, man. That's it, dog. Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh, we see this push. Because this is the main thing that we're on the lookout for. The main thing, man. So, again, this is what's to be expected, all right? This is going to become more and more popularized. And that is one of the things that I was telling the Jake that came up this last Friday before the camp. You know, we have a lot of before camp chronicles, man. We have, you know, before brothers get, you know, we get started, Jake be coming up asking questions. So I was telling Jay, hey man, it's gonna be more and more popularized, man. Hey, don't be surprised, man. Your Floyd Mayweathers, you know, when they start promoting this more and more, Lord willing, this is the push. Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh, this is the push, man, because Jake is fucking tired. Jake don't want to be here no more. Jake don't want to do this shit. But hey, you know, someone's gonna do it. And hey, one of the titles that I've been, because you know, I come up with, you know, I don't come up with, but the Spirit gives me, you know, these titles, you know, every week. And I put it in the chat for brothers, you know, brothers can use. But one of the titles I've been holding on to is hey, the Call to Champions, man. It's one of the titles I've been, you know, it's in the arsenal. The Call to Champions, man. Because someone's got to do this, you know. Someone's got to do it, you know. But not to go off, you know, because I like to expound. You know, I talk a lot, you know. But that's why I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up here, man. Lord willing, this was edifying. Again, copyright disclaimer, fair use. I'm not making any type of monetary gain. This is just for informational purposes. All right. So hopefully, this was edifying. Giving all praises to Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone. And again, man, to the beloved. All right. The elect of Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai, man. May the Spirit of Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai be bestowed unto you. All right. You know, may Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai's peace be bestowed unto you. You elect whoever you are. And Lord willing, until the next one, Shalom.